to realize Vaheguru, to realize God while you're alive. And guys, I'm just giving you my opinions, right? Like whatever my understandings have come. Maybe 20 years from now, I'll be like, oh, I was so stupid. That I was totally misguided. And maybe you guys have something to add. So if you disagree with something that I've said, I don't want this just to be a lecture, I'm talking at you. If you genuinely disagree with something I say, put up your hand and feel free to just jump in. Like, I have no issue with that. We're not supposed to be attached to worldly things. Why do we have 5 Kakaars? So that's almost a false premise. It's not that we're attached to these things physically, for what they're physically. We're attached to them because they're given by our Guru. Like just another bracelet, like a gold bracelet. It shouldn't really have any significance to me. But the fact that this kada, this iron kada that you could probably buy for just a couple of dollars, I have an attachment to it not because of its physical form, but because of that it's one of the gifts that the Guru has given me. It's the identity that the Guru has given me. And for that reason, it's beloved to me. Like 5 yards or 10 yards of cloth, I should have no real care about 10 yards of cloth. It comes and goes. But for my dastad, because this is my Guru's hand on my head, this is what my Guru has given me to make me a so-called, to make me a Sardar, because everyone says I'm a Sardar. That has value to me because it's a blessing that my Guru gave to me, right? It's kind of like asking, sometimes we have family mementos that might not really mean anything. Like my mother still has this jar that I decorated for her in kindergarten. Like I was just looking through some albums and some drawers, and it's still lying there, right? And she still has it, and I remember it was for Mother's Day. I just took like one of those Gerber baby jars and just glued macaroni to it. And my mom still has it. And there's no value to it in and of itself, right? But the fact that she remembers it as a gift her son gave as a young child, that gives it the value. So similarly, it's not an attachment to the physical item, it's to the sentiment, it's to what surrounds it. What is bhakti? How do you know if you're doing it or not? Bhakti is devotion. It's love. It's love for God. How do you know if you're doing it or not? The short answer to that is, if you're doing bhakti, then you should be becoming a better person. A lot of people that start jumping naam, start reading Gurbani, they notice qualities coming from themselves that they didn't have before. Fearlessness, compassion, all kinds of positive things coming from them that they didn't necessarily have before. Like my nature, I can honestly say, I'm not saying this out of any humility, I think I would be a very screwed up person if not for Sikhi. Like I used to bully people just because it was fun through school. Like I just used to, like harassing people. And then at a certain point, I sort of felt bad about what I was doing, right? I mean, I think a normal person that might happen just naturally, but I've just noticed a lot of changes within myself that I can't attribute to anything except Sikhi. And I think if you're genuinely doing bhakti, devotion for Vaheguru, you'll notice positive things coming from yourself that weren't there before. Tips to Kanth Bani. I'm really bad at this, but the answer to that is to say it Bani out loud. If you recite it out loud and you enunciate every word out loud, you will have the Bani Kanth very quickly. If you are reading it in your mind and you're just skimming it with your eyes, you won't ever get that Bani Kanth.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, please.
Few years ago, someone asked me, anyone knows as a student that if you can't Bani, then we'll give you a award. I said, I'm not going to do that. The reason is because I just want to know why, that's more important question, why Bani Kanth is important. for example, in my life, sorry, just for I mean, I know you have a small little time. For me, for example, when I was kid, I started doing Japji Sahib. So Japji Sahib is an important bani, but now that's the bani I can't take, and many other banis as well. But I do not enjoy it with Kant bani. But somehow, for example, when I do sad part, then my mind is still there. When my bani Kant is there, sometimes I know that when the Jini Namta comes up. So that I want to know from your perspective why the bani Kant is important, so that I can start, feeling in a different way.
Okay. So from my experience, actually, everyone has a different experience. My focus when I read from a Gurkha or from something else, it's sometimes less. Not every time, but sometimes it's less. Just because it's easier. If it's Kant, then I have to personally, I have to have a little bit more focus. But that's going to be different for each person. The importance of Kant Bani, there's a saying that says, Bani Kant Paisa Gant, that's the saying. And when you're walking around, when you're on a bus, when you're just standing for some other purpose, if you have Bani memorized, then you can recite it. Things have changed now with our smartphones, but before, unless you had a Gurkha, then if you did have a Gurkha, then how are you going to wash your hands? What's the proper appropriate amount of respect? But even with a smartphone, like if you're walking if you're walking from one part of the city to another part of the city, maybe because of class, you can't walk like this, you'll hit people. So having Bani memorized, it lets you have more contact with Bani throughout your day. That's
why I mentioned, for example, because we have Kant Mool Mantra, right? For example, or maybe Vaheguru. If you have a Namtre, you can do that too.
Yeah, definitely you can do that. But the more Bani you have memorized, it's different flavors. The taste you get out of Bani, this is my own experience, right? I can't say it about this. But sometimes, if you were reading one Bani, you might get a different experience out of it. If you read another Bani, you might get a different experience out of it. It's like almost like a feast, that you get one taste from here, another taste from here. So for that reason, I think it's useful to have Bani Kant.